So it's all yours.
Great. Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you, Gary. As Cheryl mentioned, my name is Rob Bowen. I'm a captain with the Arlington County Fire Department. And my current assignment is the Community Risk Reduction Program Manager. I'm a mouthful. But uh, I started the department. I came to Arlington in 2000, where I worked as a firefighter paramedic, worked in different areas, training, assigned to be an officer at different stations, technical rescue, water rescue, and then eventually I was assigned to this assignment in community risk reduction. Cheryl mentioned that I did a CPR class on her program Aging Matters a while back. We still have that program today. It's called Hands to Hearts. It's a community CPR program that's with the goal of providing free CPR training to the community. Focus on hands-only CPR. You don't get a certification. That's a little bit different, but it provides you the necessary skills to help save a life in the event you witness somebody go into cardiac arrest. Which, knowing CPR in that situation is obviously life-saving. So I'm going to share I have a few different screens I'm going to share. So bear with me. And okay. Second. Okay. What I want to know, tell everybody what community risk reduction is, so you kind of have a baseline understanding of what the department is doing in this aspect. We've had this program for just over 1 year, so it's still in somewhat of its infancy. We've always been doing community risk reduction, but the fire service in general has taken the approach of these 5 E's, going around the circle here. With education, that's our Hands to Hearts community CPR education. This right now is considered that as well. These types of engagement. We look to find ways to help change engineering and buildings to make places safer for people, whether it's encouraging business owners to put in AEDs or defibrillators to help people who may go into cardiac arrest, or encourage landlords through maybe some economic incentives to make sure that they have working carbon monoxide and smoke alarms in the event that somebody has gas appliances and you have a carbon monoxide emergency and you're a renter. We have an enforcement arm already through our deputy fire marshals, and everybody I'm sure has seen an Arlington County fire truck or ambulance, and that's our emergency response. So it covers a large area, but it's all focused on data analysis. So my job is to do, we're going through a community risk analysis currently, and that should be finished in the next month or two, so that we can better identify where the risks are in the community, what types of risks they are, and to make sure that the programs that we have available now are targeting those specific risks. So that basically we're making responsible financial decisions with the investment and our programs to target people that truly need the help to prevent an emergency before it happens, or be able to mitigate it on their own or make it safer. With that, I want to talk about stuff sharing. The purpose of this conversation was to discuss Community Connected. So a program we have. In the past, we had a program called the I program, or Impaired Persons Program. And the purpose behind that program was it was for evacuation assistance. Well, and actually, I'll share my screen again. So if you are ever curious and you want to find out this information, you would just go
Just on mute.
Yeah, there we go.
How long have I been on mute?
Uh, Not too long.
All right, all right. So basically, just a quick recap. You can search for evacuation assistance on the Arlington County website. This is really what ties into the part of Community Connect that I want to share with you today. But it replaces our impaired persons program and it helps identify any resident or employee with a functional need that would require assistance in getting evacuation help during an emergency or a fire. So let me show you, well, I'll show you different screen. Bounce between screens here, so bear with me a second. Five. Can you see you see the Community
No,
Connect?
no.
Okay, how about now?
There it is. Yep.
All right, great. So this is just a document I'm happy to share with everybody. It explains the Community Connect program. What we're asking residents to do is to create an account. There's a few different ways. You could just go on to Google or your web search and just type in Community Connect Arlington. This will pop up. Scan this QR code. But what the hope is that you create an account and you enter information that's important to you. The the this is the intent is to be able to communicate with responders certain important messages that are impactful and helping keep you safe during an emergency. For example, you can tell us about your property in the sense of if you have gas appliances or certain hazardous materials, if you have people who are hard of hearing or use a wheelchair or have maybe autism and do not respond well to loud noises, or let's say you're out at the grocery store, your home is empty, your house catches on fire because you mistakenly left the oven or stove on, and you have pets in your home, then this will let us know that when we get there, we realize there's no car in the driveway. We expect that you're not home, but we should be looking for that cat hiding under the bed or dog or whatever animal you may have. So I'm gonna go ahead and log in here and I'll show you what this looks like.
Okay, while you're doing that, we do have one question that I think
Sure.
you may have addressed. If we don't have any special needs, should we still go ahead and create an account?
I think that I'm going to show you the options. I just shared some of the options, but if I'll share some of the other options. And if you feel like this does not apply to you, then it's completely up to you. The one benefit of that if none of these options apply, you don't have pets, you don't have any kind of functional needs. The one benefit is that you can provide your contact information. There are times when we go to people's homes because their alarm system is going off, but we don't see any smoke inside. We really do not want to break your door down. But if we had your contact information, then we could give you a phone call to figure out, is there a way to get inside your home? Is there a keypad we could use? Hidden key, that would be helpful. So I'm going to create an account here. So when you go onto the website, you'll see this. Well, take that back. Go here, go to the Arlington County website. The website is just basically a duplicate of that PDF document I was showing you earlier. And on the right-hand side, it says Arlington residents. Whether you click households or here, and then it will take you to Community Connect. You'll have to register for an account. When you hit register, it'll ask you to put your email in, how it works. All right, and then you'll be able to put your information in. So I'm gonna make a test account. And then the next thing is gonna ask you what your address is. So I manage this program, so I'm gonna use my neighbor's home, but you just start typing in your address. And it populates. One thing I want you to know, if you live in an apartment or a condo, please email me first. We have building addresses in here. There is a slight glitch in the program where some apartment and condo residents have had a hard time adding in their suite number. So for example, like let's say you live at 1000 Wilson Boulevard, and then you live in apartment 1201. You can put that in there, but I would prefer if you can give me a call first and let me know. I'll make sure that this is gonna work for you first. Either way, it'll go in. It just will be easier if you let me. So I'm gonna put in my address, my house. So it's creating the account. It'll pop up and allow me to, and it'll show you the different options. So I create an account. Here's my address. I know this is a little small. Let me see if I can make it bigger. There you go. So it has my address here that I put in, my contact information. I can add that I have a horse at my house. And I can talk about my horse named Ed, add that in. So you're looking for my horse when you get to the house. And then let's say my wife tells me I'm hard of hearing. So I will 46. She says I never listen. So, and you can just leave it at that, or if you have a functional need, and here's the list of them, there's a variety. But if these are different things, also, if you have somebody that has specialized medical equipment, we will contact you to make sure that we have a plan in place to help support you if in the event you need to go to the hospital, whether it's a family member with a ventilator, an IV pump, or something else. Then you can hit add. So you add all these in. You can add more information. You don't need to add your name. I think just having your age is enough. The other part that is a benefit is if you would like to have us come do a home safety inspection, install a smoke alarm for you, or if you're not sure if your smoke alarms are still working, they only last 10 years, then you could go here, create a request, and just let us know what you need help with. Like, you need help putting one up. We don't want to come out and just replace your batteries, but if you need help replacing your batteries, we'll absolutely come out and help you with that. We recommend the 10-year lithium batteries. We only carry alkalines. So the batteries that you could purchase would last you longer and be better. Or if you just want to basically an inspection or home safety inspection, at that, tell us pick the date that you want us to come. Say we want you to come on Christmas. So you work on Christmas, we want you to come then. Hit save, then it will send me an alert, and I'll set you up with the closest crew nearby, and they will plan to come by on the date you request. Another aspect is helpful, especially if you live in a home, a townhome, duplex, or house, is telling us where the bedroom locations are. If there was a fire in your home, it would help us know where to focus our searches. So also you can put in, if you have a key code or gate code, you can share that. This information is only accessible by responders. You do have an audit trail to see who's tracking, but that is so it's up to you what you want to share with us, but those are the different features. I encourage you to log in, create an account, if you find that you don't want the account anymore, you can email me. I'll delete your account for you. You can't do it yourself. So I want to show you what this looks like. So here's my house, and when they respond to my house, they have these icons that show up, and they find out that somebody at Robert Bowen's or home has a 6-year-old, and I'm using the same joke as earlier, a 6-year-old hard of hearing. This is a test, may need to be told 3 times what to do. And then at the same time, they see on a map that this house has a caution note. So there's something of concern when they go to this house, but really clue the responders in that they need to be aware of an issue with this home. So we're just trying to find a way to make sure that the responders understand your needs as a resident, so that we can make sure that we're being efficient in our efforts to provide rescue support in the event that it needs. So I talk a lot. I'm going to stop for a moment. Curious if there are any questions so far.
Well, somebody said they used to drive an A&V member with mobility issues, and on her door she had a type of lockbox that she said emergency personnel could unlock. And I noticed one of the Connect options referenced something called a Knox or a Supra block box. Is that what they're talking about? Can you talk about that a little bit?
So all the businesses, most businesses in Arlington have what's called a Knox box. And a Knox box is basically, so these are the boxes you see on the side of a business. The fire department has a key to get in, so allows the fire department to get in. They do make, Knox is a great, it's a great device, but it's really expensive. So if you have a keypad, so they do have some smaller locks, but if you have a keypad of your own on the door, or you have a special lock, you could put that code in either the gate code or any kind of key code option. That would make us aware of the code. If it's an electronic code, I highly encourage you to create a specific one for the fire department, so that, for example, I have a Schlag, I'm saying that right, handset keypad, and I can put in codes for different people, whether it's a pet sitter or my family. And I can create a separate code for the fire department or the police department, so that I know if I'm giving out that code, I know who's unlocking my door. I get an alert if that's the case. But that's separate. Any other questions?
Are Community Connect programs offered by fire departments around the country? And if so, do they usually request the same information from people who sign up?
Well, probably type in this email address here. So Community Connect is from a program called First Due. First Due is a fire department program that allows for pre-incident planning. This is what Community Connect is tied into. It helps request services from the fire department. And part of the fire department's responsibility is to do pre-incident planning for different addresses to make sure that we are prepared and we've planned out well our response to different structures and buildings and occupancies. So this is a part of that. Not every fire department uses this program. Fairfax County uses it. All Northern Virginia agencies use First Due, but only Fairfax County and Arlington are, as far as I know, using Community Connect.
Okay,
Good so far.
I think that's it so far.
Okay. I would like to, I'm going to talk about some key points I want to get across. So we're coming. There it goes. So, and the holidays coming up. Not seeing that already. All right, with holidays coming up, I just want to do some reminders. A third of our fires are started by during the holiday season are started by candles. So I know candles are pretty, they smell nice, but just please be mindful to blow them out before you go to bed. And this is just the peak time when we have candle fires. Also, everybody I'm sure is aware, if you choose to purchase or cut down a tree or have a natural tree, make sure it stays hydrated. Dry trees are amazing fuel for fire and they burn quick and fast. Quick and they spread fast. So it's just really, really dangerous if they're not watered. And then the other concern is whether by putting up lights, sometimes those cables get pinched by doors or different things or nails. So if you have, there are occasions where we get fires related to holiday lights where the wiring is damaged. So if that's the case, please make sure that you replace those lights and keep heating sources, space heaters, radiators away from any kind of tree or any kind of fuel source. And we all know that Arlington does a great job of collecting trees after the holiday season if you choose to have a tree up. And then if you, going back to Community Connect, if you ask us to come by and do a home safety inspection, we have a couple different safety inspections to do. One is, and I'm happy to share these with you. These are no secrets here. Well, if we come by your home, these are the things we're looking for. We're looking to make sure that your cooking area is safe. If you have kids or grandkids hanging out, we want to make sure that you're keeping them safe. They're really, kids get at higher risk of skull burns from trying to be curious on what's being cooked and pulling pots and cans down. So we make sure that the cooking area is safe. We're not storing things on top of the stove top. Also, for the smoke, obviously we don't want you smoking in bed. People pass out, they fall asleep, and then they wake up with their bed on fire. They're getting burn injuries. Just everybody, we really want you to be mindful of where you. I already talked about the portable heaters. Just be careful of where those are placed, and we don't want you overloading sockets. I know that can, hopefully your electrical system is set up to where a circuit breaker will trip, but that will help actually prevent a fire by not overloading those circuits. Something to keep in mind, this is fairly newer, is lithium-ion batteries and charging. We all have lithium batteries. All of our phones have lithium-ion batteries, and typically the cause of these fires, as soon as those battery cells overheat and get damaged, they expand, and the fire spread is so rapid, it's almost explosive. It puts off hydrogen gas, which is explosive, and it causes a significant amount of damage. So the reason that typically happens is when you buy a charger that is not intended for that battery, and it causes the battery to overheat. So for example, when you have a phone, buying a charger that's set up for that phone, or if you're buying let's say you're going to buy kids or grandkids an electric scooter, having a charger that is designed for that versus getting some off-brand charger that's not UL tested can really be damaging. And I want to talk on the home safety inspection part. I really want to focus in on smoke alarms and carbon monoxide alarms. I'll bring this up a little higher. See it. We want to make sure that here's the rule for smoke alarms. They should be installed on every level of your home. They need to be on every level of your home. See if I can have a picture of it here. Right. Might be easier to show you. They should be in every bedroom and outside of every sleeping area. When you buy a smoke alarm, typically you have options sometimes of buying a 10-year smoke alarm or just a standard, usually less expensive one. The 10-year ones, the big difference is they just have a 10-year lithium battery with them. Like, we highly recommend those. When people buy the ones that they put an alkaline battery in, every year you're going to get the annoying chirp. People take it down, they don't replace the batteries, and the smoke alarm without a battery is doing nothing. This is the best way to not prevent a fire, but to be made aware that something may be catching fire soon because the smoke is starting to spread. And it gives you a chance to either extinguish the fire or escape before getting trapped. So please make sure you have working smoke alarms. If you're going to go purchase new ones, they have new ones that are connected through Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. Those are the best ones. So for example, in my home, I have a 3-level home. In my basement, I have my mechanical room. That's my biggest concern for where a fire would be. My stairwells don't have doors so that they can find that smoke. So if there was a fire down there, I want that smoke alarm to communicate with the one on the top level where I'm sleeping so that I'm notified. So having that level of connection. If you live in a condo, those are usually hardwired smoke alarms. They still need to be replaced every 10 years to make sure that the sensor is still good. And then if you rent, your landlord is supposed to be taking care of that for you. The landlord is not obligated to buy you a 10-year lithium battery, but they're obligated to make sure you have working smoke alarms. The one part that, and I saw a comment pop up about combo alarms, we definitely recommend the combo smoke and CO alarms. The CO, but if you live let's say you live in a condo or an apartment that does not use gas appliances or gas heat, gas water heater, then you may not need carbon monoxide really for combustion of gases that's not being properly ventilated. But most places do have exposure to some level of carbon monoxide. And those CO alarms oftentimes only last for 7 years. So I would just recommend changing those based on the manufacturer recommendation. We want you to have a carbon monoxide on every level of your home. It's important to know those alarms only evacuate when the levels get really high. So if those alarms are starting to chirp, that means you need to get out of your home, call the fire department. We'll come investigate the source of the carbon monoxide and help mitigate that. Are there any questions about smoke and CO? And the
There's
fire
a
department will
question,
provide 3 smoke alarms, just not the
a
10-year battery.
question here. Are the carbon monoxide plugins any good?
Our recommendation is to buy a UL tested alarm. So as long as it's UL tested or it passes Consumer Product Safety Commission ratings, then it's fine. So as long as it's been through that UL test, good, whether it's plug-in or for the battery. It's nice to, I think it's just easier probably to get the 10-year battery one, but it's completely up to you.
Next question is, what does one have to do converting a gas stove to electric in order to avoid indoor pollution and carbon monoxide?
So if you have an indoor gas stovetop, I really hope that you have a hood vent that is ventilating the outside of your home, because a lot of hood vents just recirculate the air and it runs through a filter, a carbon filter, but that's just getting the oil and particulates that are coming through. So if you have a gas stove top, I hope it's ventilating to the outside. And whenever you're using your gas stove, we want you to have the hood on. Oftentimes people will cook with a gas stove and they don't use the ventilation because they're like, I'm boiling water. You're still putting off gases, and you're still bringing methane into your home. So turning the hood vent on is a better way to keep yourself safe, prevent carcinogen exposure in your home. And
I
if there
think
was a fire, it would help siphon the air out that way.
I
There's
think her question was converting from gas to electric. It sounds like that eliminates one big source of potential carbon monoxide.
it absolutely does. And that would just be, you would just have to get an electrician to help you set up a new circuit breaker and cap off your gas line that will be serving the gas stove.
But I guess they would have to remain aware of whether they still have a gas furnace and a gas hot water heater and all that kind of stuff. So it
If
doesn't
you have a gas
change
stove
that up.
top, sure you have other gas appliances typically.
Right. Now we have a question here about using the Connect. This person they said they needed some assistance completing the form. They sent an email to team@communityconnect.io
Okay.
and they never got a response. Is that the right address to use?
I'm the best point of contact if you have an issue with Community Connect now. So
Okay, so
I can usually fix it for you. I would just use the email I posted.
R Bowen at arlingtonva.us.
Correct.
Okay.
Good, right?
Yep. Now you did at the very bottom of your escape plan, you talk about fire extinguishers. And I think people need to be aware that those have a shelf life as well, that
They
you
do.
need to check them periodically.
They do. When you're going to go check your smoke alarms, you should be. The recommendation is to check smoke alarms monthly. But I realize it doesn't happen. We get reminded on social media to check them when the time changes. I would at least try to check your smoke alarms then. You want to make sure that they're not sitting on your counter without a battery. But at the same time, checking your smoke alarms to make sure that the gauge still shows in the green. As long as it's in the green, it's usually okay. This means it's pressurized and it has the dry chemical inside of it. For for fire extinguishers, the most common place where there are fires in a home are typically around cooking. So having one near the kitchen, but just be mindful if there was a fire on your stovetop or the kitchen, you want to make sure that you're leaving that area slightly to go get the fire extinguisher. You don't have it maybe like right under that cabinet where you have to contend with the fire to access your fire extinguisher. The best way to deal with a cooking fire would be to turn the heat off for one. And once you turn the heat source off, that really helps. But also have a mitt, a glove, kind of oven mitt, and take a top, like a pan top, a top, and pan cover, and just cover the pan that's on fire. And once you put that cover over top, the fire will go away. If you feel it's too scary, then we recommend you just leave your home and call 911. If you want to try a fire extinguisher, you can do that. People ask us. I see the question just popped up about fire blankets. Thought it might be coming. We do not have a recommendation for or against fire blankets. The concern is that I think a fire blanket would definitely be cleaner than a fire extinguisher. But when you're using a fire blanket, you have to have it in a place to get it open and then going back to try to fling it over the fire. We don't want you to knock something down or cause something to spill. I think there's a lot of risk that goes along with using a fire blanket. And if you're at that decision point of using a fire blanket, our recommendation is to call 911, evacuate We have an extremely fast response time here in Arlington for the fire department. And they'll do their best to put it out and minimize the damage to your home. That'll keep you safe, and that's more important than having to deal with a damaged cabinet or stove top. Does that answer your question? I hope.
Yeah, I think so. I had one comment to add about fire extinguishers is uh, one thing I was taught was if you use a fire extinguisher, even if it's a quick shot and it extinguishes the fire very quickly, replace it. Don't assume there's enough material left in the extinguisher to use it a second time.
Yeah, that's definitely the case. And make sure that you're buying the right one for the right area. They have extinguishers for electrical fires, or they have ones that are specific for kitchen fires. So I would just make sure that if you're going to buy an extinguisher, store it in a place that's accessible and safe, preferably close between your kitchen and your evacuation route. And then also, yeah, just make
So,
sure.
talking about electrical fires, we did have a question here that they said it seems like some fires are listed as electrical in nature. What does that really mean? How do you prevent those and how do you deal with one?
So a lot of homes have wiring that is old, and so the current the current wiring, the way it's protected with the rubber coating, helps prevent that. Additionally, that's why we have a lot of homes have the GFCI, basically the circuit interrupters, so that if there was an overloaded circuit, that trips before your circuit breaker might even trip. But if you try to install a circuit breaker rated at a higher amperage than the wiring is intended to to accommodate, then that will cause potentially your wiring to overheat and a fire from the inside the walls or your socket from the wiring. You can actually buy it's pretty cheap. They have the socket checker, and basically you can plug it into your different sockets throughout your house, and it'll give you a green light or yellow light or red light to let you know whether there's an issue with your electrical system in your home. With that right there. All right, and
Do
then
you know if the Arlington Central Library has those socket
I
checkers?
was wondering about that. I would think they would, but I'm not 100% sure. I mean, it is a nice tool. It's very cheap, so very inexpensive. All right.
Okay, one more question. This person lives in a multi-unit building, and if there's a big fire, is there assistance or places they can go for temporary immediate assistance for lodging, food, etc.?
When you when you live in a larger building, an apartment or condo building, we try to help, try to get the residents to get support from the property owner. It always is important to try to still make sure that you have renter's insurance or homeowner's insurance, depending on your situation. But in short, yes, there is assistance. The Animal Welfare League will help housing and pets, and then the Red Cross usually will help you give you assistance with food or clothing support and lodging, short-term lodging, typically in a hotel, so that you can be so you can figure out what you need to do, get yourself back on your feet or relocated into a safe place. Yeah, we have a wealth of information on what to do after a fire, help support residents that are dealing with that. So thankful for our relationship with the Red Cross.
Okay, I think that's it for questions for now.
The last thing I want to talk about is, I'll share my screen, is planning an escape route. So we want to make sure that you have an escape plan. Be mindful if you live or work in a high rise, that it's difficult to escape you have to use the steps. The elevators are typically not going to work. So they're gonna be recalled to the lobby, and you're gonna have to use the steps. So if you can't use the steps, you need to come up with a plan. If you can only use a few steps, I'm sorry, take a few flights up and down, and you live on a higher floor, some residents try to go 2 floors below as a way to get away from the smoky environment. So there's this infographic here, and basically this is if you can't get out of your apartment because if you have a disability or there's smoke in the hallway and it's not safe, it tells you what to do. So generally speaking, if you can escape, we want you to leave your apartment, close the door. Most apartment doors and condos, the doors they're fire rated. So everything should be staying fairly safe inside the apartment. If there's a fire and the alarm is not going off, then pull the alarm. People also get confused because they see the fire department was outside, there was a smoke alarm, or the alarms went off in the building, and then the alarms go off and the fire department leaves. They're like, well, is it safe? We wouldn't leave your building if it wasn't safe. Sometimes a lot of times people burn their food and they set off the smoke alarm. There's no fire. We reset the alarm so we get the smoke out, then we go to the next emergency. But if you're in a situation where you can't evacuate your home, or for whatever reason, we want you to put the towels to cover up any gaps around your door so the air inside your apartment or condo stays clean. You probably should turn off your HVAC system if you're running your AC or heat. So in case it's pulling air from throughout the building. If you need help getting out, call 911 and tell them where you are so that we can come to you. And if you have a window that can't open and you need help evacuating from a window, you can use this technique here by putting something out the window or yelling for help. But be mindful, if there's smoke outside blowing, sometimes it's safer to keep your window closed so that the air environment inside of your apartment or condo stays clear. For homes and townhouses, houses and townhouses, I just recommend you have a meeting point. All right. All I have on
Rob, I was going to say a lot of us bought N95 masks during the pandemic and still have some. How helpful would that be if you're in a building and it's filling up with smoke? Do those do a good job or not?
So the N95 mask will help keep out the particulates, but it doesn't do anything. So it might make it easier to breathe, for sure, but you have to be mindful that they are flammable and they don't improve the oxygen quality in the air. And then when there's a fire, it's pulling the oxygen and generating carbon monoxide and other contaminants. So you would still be breathing in those harmful gases, not the normal air typically you would be breathing now.
Okay, thanks. Do we have any other questions or comments?
Rob, I was just going to ask if you go and do this presentation like in different places in the community. So in case people are connected in some other group besides ANV, that do you have colleagues that help do this presentation, or how does that work?
We provided presentations to the Disability Advisory Commission for the county. We recently did one for a youth and family advocacy group where they provide housing support for children and women, especially involved in domestic violence. So in those homes. But yeah, we're trying to enhance our outreach. So that's definitely something we're trying to do. So if you're somebody, a group that you're a part of, anybody on this call that you would like us to come speak to, just let us know the topic you want to learn about, and we'll be happy to come out and provide that education.
Yeah, I was thinking particularly of like faith communities and this kind of thing, that oftentimes they're looking to um, reach out and educate. I mean, this is such an important topic, and so just would they get in touch with you or
I would be the best point of contact. And
you are the okay?
yes, we're happy to go out to the faith-based communities. I've done it with Sarah Papa, talking about falls prevention. So, absolutely.
Excellent. Okay. Gary, did you have another question yet?
Yeah.
Okay.
The question was, if I've got a gas stove and I haven't used it for a long time, is there any problem with that just because the gas line's not being used?
So the only concern for that is that the the gas company puts this chemical called mercaptan in your gas to help you smell a gas leak. So if for some reason those lines get damaged and you have natural gas leaking, you can get used to the smell of the mercaptan and not realize that you have elevated gas in your home. So if somebody walks into your home that's not familiar, then by all means, call the gas company, call us, and we will come out. So if you have gas in your home, gas smell in your home, you're not sure where it's coming from, call 911. We'll come out and help you on that.
I had a question about escape route planning. Can you talk a little bit about the emergency escape ladders? How long can they get? Are there any types that you should or shouldn't buy?
So I think the best thing to do is sleep with your doors closed. So prevent spread of smoke, spread of fire. Call 911. And living in Arlington, the response is so fast, you will get help. I mean, you'll have a ladder up to your window in 5 minutes with somebody trying to get you out. If I do have an escape ladder at my house, I live on the second floor. I've tried it out. It is not easy to use. The one I have has webbing on the side of it, so something like similar to rope. And when you step on it, it sways back and forth. You really have to maintain your balance to go down. So yes, it can be a helpful resource to help escape, but just be mindful that if you can isolate yourself from the fire, you can call 911 and then we can get to you. And they're not as easy as they look.
I actually had one other question too, more just in terms of procedure. Oftentimes, if there's some kind of an accident or maybe somebody decides to call 911, you get an ambulance, you also get the fire truck. And I was just wondering, can you talk a little bit about like procedure? If there's a call of some type of an emergency, is there a protocol in the county that you follow to make sure you kind of cover all of your bases regarding what the emergency might be?
Sure. When you call 911, the dispatcher, the first question they're going to ask you is where you are. If you don't know where you are, then we're not going to be able to get to you. So do your best to try to figure out the location when you're calling 911. When you tell the dispatcher what the problem is, they have this basically decision tree where they're trying to navigate what the emergency is. And they have different incident types that they would classify the problem that you're describing. And so when it fits into a certain category, it triggers a dispatch alert for police or a fire engine or ambulance. So For medical calls specifically, if it's considered a minor illness or minor injury, they oftentimes will send the closest unit. If it's something where somebody can't breathe, they feel like they're having a heart attack, a stroke, cardiac arrest, you get a lot more resources. They identify, are we going to send a basic life support, EMT staff, ambulance or fire truck, or are we going to send a paramedic staff fire truck or paramedic staff ambulance? So does that answer your question?
Yeah, and in fact, one other kind of sub question to that was, I live not too far off of Langston Boulevard, and right down the street is the volunteer fire department. And I've always wondered, what is that? What do they do, and how do they complement the other fire department activities?
Okay. There are 2 active volunteer fire departments within Arlington, or somewhat within Arlington, Cherrydale and Falls Church. The Falls Church is more the city of Falls Church, but the station is 50-50 in Arlington City. They both have active volunteers. Cherrydale Volunteer Fire Department has been around way longer than the Arlington County Career Fire Department. So it's a historical building that still has volunteer membership. For example, they help staff a medical aid tent at Wreaths Across America, while our career crews staff an ambulance, and I staff the EMS command. Then, so they help out with special events. If they have this light, basically what's called a light and air unit, whereas if there was, but when the police have a fatality accident, they'll come out and help with scene lighting, or they'll come out and help. There's a large fire, they'll come out, provide some support that way. They don't have a fire truck or an ambulance that they respond to on a normal basis. Their response typically is coming to ride extra with one of us. The Arlington County Fire Department has very strict riding qualifications. It's really difficult to maintain those qualifications, but oftentimes sometimes the volunteers will ride extra on our rigs to try to be supported.
So if somebody on this call was interested in volunteering, could they do that?
If they want to volunteer as a firefighter EMT, then they could go to either one of those places to volunteer. If
Okay,
they want to help out with community risk reduction, give me a call. Might be able to find a spot for you.
okay.
We have
Also,
another,
want to promote CERT, so the Community Emergency Response Team. That's a collaboration between our Department of Public Safety, Communications, and Emergency Management, and the fire department. CERT is very active. It's a great program. So it's a great community effort to try to help support the community during disasters or large events. There you go. Look at Gary. Ready to go.
I have a question about if somebody calls 911 and you send out an ambulance or any of these vehicles, is there a charge associated with that?
Big question. We only charge for, so as a resident, you could get charged for multiple false fire alarms, but that rarely happens. The only time the fire department charges is when we transport somebody to the hospital. And our goal is to bill the insurance company, and that typically takes care of it. We have a whole ambulance billing section, but it is very expensive to provide emergency medical service care. The equipment, the staffing, apparatus is very expensive. So that is a way to help offset some of those expenses, is through transport. But if you will go to somebody who's unconscious because their sugar was too low, they're diabetic, we'll start an IV, we'll give them sugar, do the IV, they'll wake up, they'll be back to normal, we'll eat a sandwich and be good to go. And then they refuse transport and there's no bill, and we just provided a free service.
Okay.
Anything else, Gary? We're at 11 o'clock now, so
No,
any
so if anybody's got a last question,
last
speak
question?
now or forever hold your peace.
One thing I was going to ask you, Rob, I think the Community Emergency Response Department is particularly interested in people who have had some kind of formal health care training because I have a nursing background, although I haven't practiced in many years, and I was part of that for a while. And then so is that true?
That is helpful, but you will provide all the training. So
Oh,
you'll get,
okay.
if you come in with no healthcare or disaster experience, you will get the training that you need. There'll be opportunities to build on different levels.
Cheryl, there's also a separate organization that's made up of retired doctors and nurses. So, for instance, in the early days of COVID, they were doing testing and giving vaccines and things like that because they could, and there weren't
Yes.
enough people available. So, that's a different organization, but the two work together quite a bit.
Right, right. And as I said, I did volunteer for that when we were, over at some of the community health center or the community centers. So,
That was through, I think, Department of Human Services. And
yes,
volunteer Arlington.
okay. Well, Rob, we want to thank you.
Can
Oh,
we,
another
one
question?
last one. What
Yes.
about different languages besides English and Spanish for service calls? Do you have translators to help with that? And what happens when you get to a person and they don't speak
Good
English or
question.
Spanish?
Sí, hablamos español también. So, yes, we have people that are fluent in Spanish and can deliver this training in Spanish. We would rather do more. We would like to do more outreach with our Spanish speaking community, as they are oftentimes more adversely impacted by some of these issues that predispose them to increased risk of fire and other medical issues.
What about other languages like Vietnamese or Amharic or you know,
So we would we would definitely like to reach out to those communities. We have an Arabic speaker, but we don't have. We would need help from the community to help translate for us. We don't have a specific person. We are working with the police community engagement division. I think they may have a couple more translators in their department, but I'm willing to accept the help if you speak one of those languages and have a group that would benefit from this training.
Okay.
Kids or grandkids that are looking for a job are we're hiring or have hiring bonuses of $15,000, I think it is. So,
Wow.
So we could use some help, and if you have friends or family that would like to join, please encourage them to sign up.
Well, it's 11:04, so we definitely want to thank Captain Robert Bowen with the Arlington County Fire Department for the presentation today. And Rob, I did see that you put your email address in the chat, rbowen@arlingtonva.us. Is that the best way to get in touch with you?
Yes, that's true.
Okay, well, I will definitely be in touch because I'm going to be looking for programs for Aging Matters in February. So I will definitely give you the drill and all that kind of information. So, but meanwhile, I just want to, for those folks who are still on the call here, wish everybody a very, very Merry Christmas or a Happy Hanukkah or whatever, just a happy holiday season and good health. And please stay safe. And then also a Happy New Year, since we are going to be not broadcasting, so to speak, for a couple of weeks here. And then our next Coffee and Conversation will be Wednesday, January 8th, and we'll be hearing about the Arlington 55 plus programs. So got a little hiatus for the next couple of weeks, but then we'll see you on Wednesday, January 8th at 10 o'clock. So enjoy. And Rob, as I said, I'll be in touch.
Okay, thank you.